Yo, what's up, y'all? This is Philosophical from the Let's Rock Podcast. What's up?
This is Jay Echo. What's good, y'all?
Today we have a special guest, Miss Shatoria. Her IG is IamShatoria. Iam_Shatoria. IAM_Shatoria. SHATORIA. Founder, host of the IamShatoria podcast, life coach, mentor, motivational speaker, author. Book Authentic Transparency, and also a workbook associated, also called The Authentic Transparency. And hey, Miss Shatoria, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
What's good? What's popping?
Yep.
All right. So we in the last part we were discussing sort of the reality of love and marriage, and we sort of ended on the point of emotional intelligence informing some of the decision making that you're engaged in. And well, that's where I ended anyways. If y'all didn't listen to the end, go back and listen to it. Do better. But the larger point that I wanted to get to from that transition is the emotional intelligence we develop is how we develop emotional intelligence inside and outside of relationships. Like how we behave in a relationship is oftentimes, well, at least I'll say for me, is slightly different than how we behave outside of relationships, because outside of a relationship, all you really have to think about is yourself, your own needs, your own wants, your own desires, what like. You're not worried about the next person or, oh, does this person really need me for something? Do I need to support this person emotionally? Yeah, it's all about you.
And I will add to that when you made a point of, the relationships. When you're in a relationship, you're different than when you're acting outside of a relationship. I will add to that past relationships that you've been in also can dictate the behaviors you act accordingly in your current relationship. So you got to be.
You're not healed. You're not healed from those last, and then you're taking that in there, and then you're causing more issues.
So this is. I'm glad you brought that up. So I in my analysis, and this is just my opinion, and I know a lot of people may have some caveats to this. Depending on how your last relationship ended, depending on time, depending on the healing process, women heal faster, mentally, more emotionally, and quicker than men do. And that's just a common fact.
No.
You don't agree with that?
No.
I think women heal.
I'd agree for one reason, Miss Shatoria, but I'll let you. I want
to hear why you don't agree with that.
So here's the thing, and this is coming from a woman who thought she was here. So there's a difference from actually healing and thinking you're healing.
Okay.
We can portray that we're healed all day. We can have it together, but we're not, because until you know how to heal, you're not healed. And a lot of women, we don't know how to heal. We know how to hide.
I agree with that, but so do men.
Absolutely. That's why I say we don't
do the same thing.
We don't heal quicker. Sometimes we at the same time span, if you want me to be honest.
But women adapt in different relationships better.
That's the word, adapt, but we're not healed.
So
you need to be completely healed.
I agree with that.
It's like a camouflage. It's a camouflage. We know how to camouflage into a situation.
I agree with that, but I think that there are some men out here who are more forgiving, and there are men out here who just aren't forgiving at all. Correct?
Absolutely.
And that's where it comes in as far as the healing process, where it takes a woman can be a little bit more receptive to forgiveness and say, you know what? That situation that happened, it happened for the sake of my future and the sake of who I am. I don't want that burden over me.
And
I think men are a little bit slow to forgive when it comes to that. For example,
so that's the difference. Wait. Healing and forgiving, totally. That's totally because.
But some in a man's mind, but to a man's mind, a man has to forgive to heal. Women look at it to the fact that I've forgiven, I've healed, and I'm going to add positivity to a certain relationship. They're a little bit more quicker to do that than a man is.
And this is where my disagreement with Miss Shatoria comes in. Excuse me. I do understand that time frames are sort of like they're similar and everything. Like that. I'm not going to disagree with you on that point, but I do feel like women are more, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, are more emotionally intelligent, and therefore
I agree.
They are quicker to start doing the work that they need to do
than a man is.
No, that part hands down. But again, it goes back to actually knowing how to do the work. We can forgive all day, but the problem people forget what the forgiving is.
So give some examples. Give some examples of what you feel a woman needs to do to put in the work that a man, the same work a man would need to do.
Well, I mean, I think you can speak to. I mean, you are a life coach and a mentor, so I feel like you can speak to both sides. What are some of the? What
are some examples do you feel a woman should do that a man,
Well, for both, honestly, and I actually in the workbook it talks about that. So the biggest thing is I have people go back to their first hurt, and a lot of us don't remember a first hurt.
Nope.
But that is where it starts. No. What I'm saying is some people don't, because first hurt goes for some go back to childhood. I actually asked some people like, "What was your first hurt?" And he was like, "I don't even know." And when they start to think about it, they go, it's that first hurt is a domino effect. And I'm going to take me, for example. My first hurt was with my mother. My first hurt was a man, raping me. That became a complete domino effect. Mm-hmm. Yes, I may have forgiven, people and stuff like that. And in my mind, I forgave them, but I really didn't. I still had hurt and pain that I still had to deal with. And let me tell you why I forgave them, because I saw my mother forgive and go on with herself. But the thing is, she never did. So this whole entire time, I became a pawn with myself in my own game that is created. So as people, I don't want to say men or women, because it's both, because we take it in a little differently.
So this is where I feel like there's a difference between men and women as far as the healing process, right? We'll take into your situation without digging real deep into it, right? Mm-hmm. You've come to a point where healing is a way of how you help others. Healing is still a way of helping others. You've gotten to a point where you can help other people get over this type of pain. You can help other people you brought awareness as far as making your story relatable to other people and say, hey, look, I've been where you've been through. Matter of fact, that's what this podcast is about. Bringing awareness, helping people heal, helping people in general to say, hey, I've been where you've been through. I still go through what you go through, but this is how you get over it. Women have a tendency to explore that more than a man is. A man is a little bit more
reserved with it
because this goes back to society programming us to
ego and
deal society with it.
In caps.
Women are more vocal about it. They're willing to say, hey, I've been what you've been through. I know what you're going through. I'm here for you. Men aren't honestly willing to do that because they don't want to come off as vulnerable. So
that's the thing though. They are not as willing. But let's look at the different generations real quick. Mm-hmm. Our generation, I'm about to be 39 years old. They're beginning to flip that and change it.
Yeah, because
this Generation X or Z, whatever they are right now, they ain't. But if you notice, they're very vocal too. They're very independent, especially the females. I don't need anything. And when unfortunately, it's society.
You don't think that's society? That's society.
That's society in all caps.
Society in all caps. I think it's attention, and I think it's agenda based. It's agenda based.
We can worry about I think the agenda portion of it is a conversation for another time. For real. But how do you? So this conversation started because we were talking about the reality of love and marriage.
Yeah.
So how what's it called? How do you think because both of you guys are married, so
yeah.
I'm not. I'm single.
Your time is coming, Jay.
I'm chilling right now, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm good. What's it called? But what are some ways that you feel like it manifests in relationships beyond, like how do you think that trauma or the lack of willingness to forgive, how do you think it shows up in relationships?
For me in particularly, it showed up because one thing my spiritual dad told me, and it hit close to home, he was like, your husband is not your dad. And so as a female with an absentee, so both of my parents was absentee, but I had situations going on with my dad, but I had to know that my husband was not my dad. The things that my dad did was not my husband. And for some women, it makes it hard to submit. And we use the submit word wrongly, but it makes it hard to submit. It made it to where my relationships, period, including my husband, it made it hard for me to see them as a leader. I had everything on my own. So for me to be married, I had to see my husband as that leader. I had to trust that he was going to absolutely lead me in where we needed to go as a family. And
I have a follow-up question to that, but
I have a follow-up question to that too.
It took some time, and it took some time.
That brings me to my next question. Seeing your husband, your significant other, and we also got to look at it like we as men shouldn't see our partner or significant other as a mother either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
We can't like, just because a woman is supposed to make peace in the home and take care of home does not make her your mother. That's a different discussion. But it's funny you mentioned that, because I want to bring up the point where it took time for you to see your husband as a leader. That takes respect. That takes, a way of seeing something. As far as I think my main question is that, did it take some action for you to be like, okay, I trust my husband? Because there are two people are coming together, right? One person wants to do things one way, another one wants to do another way, right? Right. It's just a meeting of the minds. Marriage relationship is a meeting of the minds. How are we going to get to the same goal? Coming to the middle and doing it together, right? And I've made this point to where women submit, men sacrifice, right? To the point that a lot of women out here look at submit as, oh, he's telling me what to do.
Right.
Oh, I'm in control. You know what I mean? I run this. I need to, the independency comes out in a woman to the fact that, I'm not doing what he tells me to do. They look at it as a daddy complex, right? Mm-hmm. As a man, we need a woman to submit to the fact that you trust us, you respect us, you speak to us in a certain way, right? A lot of times, men look at women as like, oh, she's submitting, I can get her to do whatever I want her to do.
And that was my follow-up question, so to speak. So we use, like you said, the term submit gets thrown around a lot. And it often gets a bad rap for a lot of things. But which is part of the reason why I often use words like compromise or whatever the case may be, but that's not the question. So my question is, what traits do you think people should be looking for in the person they are going to trust to lead them?
So honestly, it really starts off with, I'm just being honest, who you serve. I serve God and God first, period. So my house was going to be equally yoked. Now, was my husband going to church and all of that beforehand? Absolutely not. He wasn't. But I trusted God. In order for you to follow someone, you first got to trust God that that's where you're supposed to be at in the first place. So I didn't jump into marriage like I'm just going to get married. It was literally, God was like, that's your husband. And I was like, okay, we're going to see. Because trust me, the traits that he had at that time, I wasn't feeling it. And let me be clear. The traits my husband had when we met was things that I didn't want. He had a kid, roommates. I wanted a military person. Even though I'm military, I want somebody in uniform. I know he had benefits, the whole time on. That's not. And
I think God brings people in your life for a reason.
Absolutely, right? And one of the best things, my son, I call him my son. That's my ride right there, like literally. But the traits that my husband carried was one of the biggest things for me was what type of parent you are. And he had a son. And my whole thought process was, you can't take care of him. You can't take care of me. I can take care of me, but you can't take care of him. You sure hell can't take care of me. That was definitely one of the things. Another thing was he's big with his family. Like he's big with his family. Like they close. I was like, okay. Now I knew my husband's family before I knew him. So I was already, cool. But for me, the traits where I get he wasn't going to church, but can you lead, period. And he showed he cared about me in his own way. And that's one of the things I had to learn. The way I wanted him to do things was not my place. I had to accept him for where he was at that moment, knowing that he can go upward. And if I couldn't add value to that, then I needed to step back because, again, he had a son. He had plans as well. And one of the biggest things I had to learn after we got married is when really things just hit the fan. I had a home in OKC and he moved up. He left Texas and moved after we got married. So he left everything, job, promotion, everything. And I had to come to a realization was like, he did that because he wanted to. So I had to get out of the my, and I. And so we decided to give up my house and we moved on Bates. And we got rid of all the furniture and everything. And we bought things together.
And it's funny you mentioned that. That was the sacrifice part.
It was. For me, and to this day, I still see him moving from Texas to Oklahoma to follow me in my military career.
And that
as a sacrifice.
And that built respect.
And let me tell you something. One of the biggest things, and I stand on it, is so me and my husband, we talk about a lot, but it's nothing for us. I make more than he does. I'm military, so. But I also have businesses and everything else. But never in a day would that be held over his head. Because at the end of the day, he's still the head of our house. He's still the leader. He's still the father of our kids. Yep. So regardless of the money that's made, because at the end of the day, it's ours. We doing what we do. Mm-hmm. He's the head. And I treat him as such. And one thing that I'm proud of, he does not get jealous or in his feelings because I make more. I'm getting my master's degree. He just got his associates. And you know what? He's pushing me to get a doctorate. We're not getting that, but
that's money.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on.